What's going on, guys? Indy here with Ultimate Tool Reviews. Now, this isn't going to be the usual cooler review. I've seen plenty of reviews online, where they test out the ice capacity of these coolers, and a lot of them generally fall within the same range of, holding ice or ice retention. Now, I was looking for a new cooler. I just replaced my older Yeti. The only thing I don't really like about the Yetis too much is, of course, A, they're expensive, and B, they're kind of a theft magnet a little bit too. I'm a little uncomfortable keeping it in the back of my truck. I try to hide mine, put a blanket over it, make sure I cover it whenever I'm having it with me. Now, I wanted to look for, some Black Friday sales, see if I could find a good deal on a new cooler. I looked around. Of course, if you didn't know, Yeti really doesn't have any sales. If you just saw my Ace video that I did, they had a ton of Yeti stuff there, and I was ready to buy something, but there was no really good deals at all. Now, the Yeti I had was actually a smaller Yeti, maybe 2/3 the size of this. I hear RTIC behind me. And it wasn't necessarily what I wanted for this upcoming trip I'm going to do. I'm going camping here in the next week or so. I wanted a little bit bigger cooler to have instead. Now, when I was looking at reviews for coolers, pretty much every review is going to be like one of two things. They were telling me, hey, here is how much ice it holds, and here's how long it holds the ice for. Or B, someone's cutting that cooler in half and showing you the inside, which are both, great reviews. But I want to show a little more of the details of these coolers and really, stuff that you can't really just figure out, from looking at photos. And a lot of these reviews, they're not really getting close up to that cooler. So I want to show us a little bit more details of these coolers. So this is the RTIC. This is the new ultralight 52-quart cooler. It's been out for about 2 years now. And there was just an awesome deal right now. So on Black Friday, it went down to like $169. And then on Cyber Monday, it went down to $149. So one question I had was, hey, how good is the customer service from RTIC? And I'll put it this way. I called them twice. I spent 20 minutes on hold each time. And when it hit about the 20-ish minute mark, the phone service would just say, hey, no one's able to take your call, and just hang up on me. That was kind of frustrating. Now, I did email them and say, hey, you guys have a price match guarantee right now. If you bought the cooler in this price range, that you will then refund me the difference. I would say about 36 hours later, they did email me. They didn't ask me any questions. I included all my info in that first email, my order number. I did include a screenshot of that lower price. Whoever responded to me, they just said, hey, that's no problem. Your refund is on its way for like 20 or so bucks. So I will say that's a nice positive from RTIC. They did get back to me via email, whereas in phone was just unreachable. And I will give them a little bit of benefit of the doubt there that I was calling around that Cyber Monday time frame. So I'm sure they were very, very busy, of course. All right, so looking at this RTIC cooler, this is from their newer ultralight series. And what this is a injection molded cooler. It's not a roto molded cooler like some of the higher end RTIC coolers and the Yetis. Not saying this isn't a higher end cooler by any means, but there's definitely a few things in this cooler that you can tell that, the quality wasn't necessarily there right away. In here, when I first bought the cooler, you can see where they did some injection molding here. And this one is right in the center here, pretty much, just to the left. You can see there where that foam was injected right there, and it left kind of a little bit of a mess there. I kind of notice that every time I open this cooler. It's not really an issue on any of the other injection points, but it'd be nice if they just kind of painted that or something when they finished injecting that cooler molding there. Now, this cooler is totally brand new. Have not used this cooler once just yet, but wanted to show you guys some of the features that I couldn't find online or on any review really. All right, moving towards the handles, I was watching a review, and I believe the reviewer was definitely a little biased towards Yeti, but he was saying that the handles on this, they don't stay up by themselves. So what he meant by that was, you put the handles up, you go to open the cooler, and then you go to close the cooler, his handles would keep falling down. I don't see that at all. My handles are just as stiff as my Yeti's cooler, so I don't understand what he was getting there with that. But if you're wondering, the handles are just as stiff as my Yeti cooler. I will say the one thing I like about the Yeti cooler a little bit better was that the force required to latch and unlatch this handle is much greater on the Yeti coolers. Well, this one is brand new. My Yeti that I had for quite a while was way stiffer than this. I know this is kind of that bear-proof style latch, but this is relatively simple to get on and off. I would like to see this a little more aggressive hold here on this clasp to really keep this down a bit harder. Now, I will say the sealing on this cooler is excellent. Check this out. Let's open this cooler up, and you can see the gasket in there. But check this out. Maybe we can hear this. If you heard that little sound there, that little bit of air escaping in there, so you can hear just how airtight that cooler is. So some of the complaints that I read online about this cooler that people were kind of complaining about was that these aren't as tough as a rotomold cooler, which, I would probably agree with that. When you trade out weight most of the time, you're not going to get something that is going to be as strong as a heavier model. That's not true all the time, but with coolers, I will say that's kind of what I've found to be the case with a lot of previous coolers that I've owned. Kind of the heavier duty, the heavier ones seem to last the longest. Now, this is actually a pretty thick hinge here. You can tell this one pin goes all the way through. I'm kind of curious to see how long this is going to last. With some hard open and closes here, how well will this hinge keep doing? So one thing I've also liked about this cooler is you get a lot more value than from the Yeti coolers. So this is actually totally what came with the cooler when I bought it. Then none of these are actually paid extras. I didn't buy anything else extra with this cooler, but you get this nice divider, which is actually also a cooler pack. So that is really cool. I wish this thing was a little bit stiffer in here. Look at the amount of play with this. I don't know why this could have been definitely a little bit more well made and not have so much play there. Definitely not going to be, any watertight, airtight proof there. So, don't put raw fish on one side and then actual food you're going to eat now on the other side, because you're definitely going to have some cross-contamination between these two sides. Not sealed at all. And there's a lot of play in this middle cooler pack as well. Also, what's cool is they included that basket here, and it's actually a pretty well-made basket. It's got a nice little bit of coating on here too, so this won't start chipping or rusting too quickly. It fits on both sides, which is really cool to see. And I like how it does work around that divider. It's not one or the other. You can use both at the same time. This is something no one mentioned that I couldn't find in any reviews, but on the right-hand side, you actually have a drain plug, and this one's going to be the smaller side. So about the same size, a bit larger than my finger there. I would say that's going to be about a 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch drain plug there. And on the left side of the cooler, we've got a much larger drain plug. And I do like that nice little touch here of actually including a threaded metal cable here and not just some cheap nylon or plastic that's going to hold that cap on. That's a really nice thing. So you can see here I can fit almost 2 fingers in this drain plug. It's going to be at least a full inch, maybe 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches, somewhere on that size drain here. So you get a much larger drain on the left side than the right side. That's kind of cool. I can't really think of a reason why I want different size drains on each side. Maybe you want to drain one side faster, you want to drain slower for some odd reason. But kind of cool they include it regardless. And I like having 2 drain plugs as well, so I can open up both of them and drain out all the extra water as fast as possible without having to actually lift the cooler up and go from there. They have the rope handles on the side here. They're decently long, but if you just want to grab the cooler here, there's not really a great handle here. And there's actually this little hole here that goes all the way through. You can see my fingers there. I can only really get maybe 2 or 3 fingers in there, but it's not a comfortable hold at all. If this thing is really heavy, this thing is not, you're not going to want to hold it there. That's about as far as my hand goes in, and then I'm holding the cooler right here in my fingers and not closer to my palm where I want to be. Alright, so at the end of the day, how good is RTIC's new ultralight cooler? Well, I think it's pretty good, especially when you can get it on sale for like 150 bucks. The additional ice pack, that basket, really gives you a lot of value. As well, when you look at reviews and see how long this thing can last with ice, it's quite impressive, especially compared to some of the more expensive Yeti coolers. Now, is it a Yeti cooler? Is it a rotomolded cooler? No, it's not going to be at that level. A lot of brands make, rotomolded coolers. Those things are super heavy duty. Will this thing still probably last you 5 to 10 years? I think so, definitely. So when you're looking at, I would say more in the value perspective of this cooler, it's an excellent buy. However, though, this is not a end-all cooler when it comes to, you want the absolute best of the best. You don't care how much it costs to spend on it. This is not the way to go. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, guys, and take care. Have a great day.